It was a snowy December evening in the quiet little town of Silverpine. The streets were blanketed in white, and the warm glow of lanterns spilled out from cottage windows. In a small house at the edge of town, a boy named Oliver sat curled in a big armchair by the fireplace. The flames danced and cracked, filling the room with the scent of pine wood. Oliver was 10 years old, with bright hazel eyes, a mop of unruly brown hair, and a heart that never stopped chasing wonder. He loved Christmas with all his souls, the shimmering lights, the sweet smell of gingerbread, the laughter, and of course, the excitement of presents under the tree. As he stared into the flames, imagining Christmas morning, a sudden tapping broke his thoughts. It came from the frost-covered window. At first, Oliver thought it was just the wind brushing a branch against the glass. But the tapping grew steady and deliberate. He got up, wiped the condensation from the window, and gasped. A small robin sat perched on the sill, its feathers dusted with snow. Clutched in its beak was a tiny envelope sealed with shimmering gold wax, shaped like a star. Oliver unlatched the window, letting in a rush of cold air. The bird hopped inside, dropped the envelope onto the table, chirped once, and then fluttered away into the winter night. The envelope felt warm in Oliver's hand. He broke the seal and unfolded the letter. The writing inside was delicate and glowing faintly, as if traced with starlight. Asterisk, Dear Oliver, if you are reading this, it means you have been chosen. I need your courage and kindness. Please meet me tomorrow evening, after sunset, at the Moonstone Glade in the heart of the Whispering Woods. The magic of Christmas is in danger. With hope, the Winter Star Fairy *. Oliver's eyes widened. A fairy and Christmas in danger? It sounded impossible, but somehow, deep down, he knew it was real. The next day was the longest Oliver could remember. Too busy imagining what the Moonstone Glade might look like, and who or what the Winter Star Fairy really was. As the sun sank, painting the snow in gold and pink, Oliver bundled up in his thick scarf and mittens and set off toward the woods. The Whispering Woods were hushed under the blanket of snow. His boots crunched with each step, and the trees seemed to murmur in the wind. The deeper he went, the more the air shimmered, until finally he stepped into a clearing bathed in silver light. In the center stood a tall crystal stone glowing faintly in the moonlight. A soft musical laugh drifted through the air. A swirl of light shimmered before him, and out of it stepped the Winter Star Fairy. She was small, no taller than his forearm, with wings like frosted glass and a gown woven from threads of snow and silver. Her hair shone like moonlight, and her eyes sparkled with warmth. Oliver, she said, her voice like falling snow, thank you for coming. I'm afraid Christmas is in grave danger. Last night, the Frost King stole the heart of Christmas crystal that carries the joy, generosity, and warmth of the season. Without it, the lights will fade and hearts will grow cold. I cannot retrieve it alone, but you were chosen for your bravery. Oliver's heart thudded. Where is it now? In his palace beyond the frozen veil. Far to the north, she explained. The way is dangerous, but together we can succeed. She waved her hand, and a shimmering trail of stardust appeared. Follow me. The journey through the forest was unlike anything Oliver had ever experienced. They met a family of talking foxes who offered warm berries for the road, owls who carried tiny lanterns to light the path, and a pair of snow hares who showed them a hidden shortcut across an icy stream. Every creature they met whispered encouragement, for they all knew how important the mission was. Soon, the trees thinned, and before them stretched a vast plain of glittering ice. Far in the distance, under a sky swirling with pale green auroras, stood the Frost King's palace, towering fortress of frozen crystal. That's where the heart is kept, the fairy said softly. Crossing the ice was slow and bitterly cold. The wind clawed at Oliver's face, but he pressed on. At the palace gates, 2 enormous wolves made of solid ice barred their way. Their eyes glowed an icy blue. Oliver stepped forward, remembering the fox's words. Show courage, and the ice will part. Come not to harm, he told them, but to bring warmth back to the world. The wolves stared for a long moment before stepping aside, leaving the way clear. Inside, the palace glittered with cold beauty. The walls were like glass, reflecting pale light in every direction. But from high above came a slow, mocking clap. The Frost King appeared at the top of a grand staircase, tall and cloaked in midnight blue robes lined with frost. His crown was made of jagged ice, and in his hand he held the glowing heart of Christmas. "So," he said with a smirk, "the little human thinks he can take back what I have claimed." "It doesn't belong to you," Oliver said firmly. "Christmas is for everyone." The Frost King's smile sharpened. "Then come and try." A storm of snow and ice swirled through the hall as he raised his hand. Shards of frozen wind hurtled toward them, but the fairy darted in and out of the flurry, scattering bursts of starlight that distracted him. Oliver crept forward, one step at a time, until he was close enough to leap. With a burst of determination, he jumped and snatched the glowing crystal from the Frost King's grasp. The moment his fingers closed around it, warmth surged through the room. The icy floor began to melt, and the walls shimmered with golden light. The Frost King staggered back, his power draining away. The fierce cold in his eyes softened for a moment, almost as if a buried memory of warmth had returned. Then, with a swirl of snow, he vanished. "You've done it," the Winter Star Fairy said, her voice full of joy. "The heart of Christmas is safe again." Outside, the sky blazed with bright ribbons of green and gold, the northern lights dancing above them. The frozen plain seemed to hum with joy as they began their journey home. When Oliver finally stepped back into Silverpine, dawn was breaking. The air was filled with the smell of wood smoke, and faint church bells rang in the distance. In his pocket was a silver snowflake charm, the fairy's gift to him as a reminder of his adventure. That morning, Christmas felt brighter than ever before. The lights seemed to sparkle more, laughter rang louder, and even the snow looked as though it glittered with magic. Oliver knew then that the true magic of Christmas was in tea, just in the fairy or the glowing crystal. It was in the courage to protect what mattered and the kindness to share it. And somewhere far beyond the snow-covered hills, the Winter Star Fairy watched with a smile, knowing that as long as hearts like Oliver's existed, Christmas would always shine.